Deep beneath the sands of Egypt lie 24 enormous stone coffins, and every one of them is empty.
These 24 enormous boxes are empty. What in the world was inside them?
What purpose these giant sarcophaguses serve remains a mystery.
The precision in which they were carved and polished is beyond words.
The artistry is so intricate. It reminds me of the head sculpts from InArt and Hot Toy artisan figures today.
And there are many who believe that these giant stone boxes not only contained kings and queens of old, but also otherworldly artifacts from the past.
There has been some theorizing from experts that these ancient boxes were some sort of holy and sacred technology from another world.
Most people just presume these giant boxes were coffins. But you do have to ask yourself, were they really coffins? Or maybe, just maybe, they were shipping containers from space, holding Hot Toys and InArt action figures from tens of thousands of years ago. There is a doorway that leads to the notion that life here began out there, far across the universe. Join Aries Harrington as he embarks on a quest to uncover ancient action figures, not only on planet Earth, but in other realities and other Earths across the universe. Alright, baby, well, looky here, this Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Obi-Wan series, the head sculpt has been revamped, and gosh, I think it looks absolutely sensational. I actually think it looks next level, and we're going to get into that. But does it actually look like Obi-Wan, though, from the Obi-Wan series? You're going to want to stay tuned as I open up with that to discuss this figure for sure. Also within this episode, we all know that this Artisan Joker, this DX Artisan Joker is coming. But before it even came out with the same head sculpt, of course they went ahead and they gave us this Batman imposter version of the Joker. Again, more and more announcements, less production of these announcements with more 2.0s and what? More different variations. You're getting that right here. So you have to wonder, are we also going to get that with this Anakin that is set to come out and get officially released like that Obi-Wan this September? Are we going to get the Dark Side version? You're going to want to stay tuned for that. And are we also going to get this Rey? This Last Jedi Rey? And then on top of getting this Last Jedi Rey, do we get a Dark Side version? Whether it's from the Rise of Skywalker or some type of what if or expanded universe type of deal or Power of the Dark Side type of thing? You're not going to want to miss that. Oh, forget about this. You know Luke is coming, and look at this 2-pack, a glorious 2-pack. Only $281, but an Artisan WB 100 Wonder Woman with $1,400? Listen, baby, we've got a lot to cover within this episode. I've got the coffee right here, baby. Let's suck it down. All over spilling. Where's my darn wizard juice? Let's go ahead and find it. Right now. Alright, and welcome everyone to another episode of the Aries Tarrington Show, right here, baby, at the 6 Scale Cantina. Let's go ahead and start it off talking about this Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Obi-Wan series. And you have to ask yourself, do I think that this is next level? And I say, yes. I really, really do. But honestly, I don't think it looks like Obi-Wan from the actual Obi-Wan series, at least during this part. To be quite honest with you, this almost looks like an EU version. An expanded universe, some type of concept of Obi-Wan at this age as a Jedi. I actually went and looked after Hot Toys showed this here yesterday and showed that they went ahead and they adjusted the head sculpt, which I'm so glad that they did. And I kind of skimmed through this scene from the Obi-Wan series. And really, on this side of his hair, I see it really pushed in. And I see some flatness. I don't see it out. Like if you look at my hair here, like if I go like this, I don't see those strands out like this during this whole scene from when Vader comes off the ship to the end. And I'm not trying to be picky that way, but in a way this is a good and a bad thing. And let me tell you what I think is the bad thing about it, which is I think kind of obvious. If you're interested in having it to be exactly like this film, that could be a little bit aggravating, I think, for some collectors. But I really wasn't planning on, at this point, unless my money situation turns around, on getting the DX28. But I'm going to get this Obi-Wan. I wasn't going to get this Obi-Wan. This head sculpt looks sick, and I'm going to go ahead and get it now. Because this would go great. Absolutely fantastic in my collection. To go next to the Alec Guinness Obi-Wan Kenobi from A New Hope. Just an evolution of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think it's just sensational. Yeah, those long strands sitting there. I don't see it. But I think the figure is sick. I think it's next level Obi-Wan. Yeah, I don't see his hair. I see it more pushed in. I think one side maybe had a little bit like that from that scene. That he looks great. I think this is a next level Obi-Wan. At least from these pictures. It looks... This really shows it. I think this looks like Ewan McGregor at his age. Look at the detail in the cheeks, the skin. Look at the way that they did the beard. It looks like that they fixed that lip area and under the nose, or, if there were some issues there. Even up to the scalp, the little detail, under the hair where it meets. I'll be honest with you, when I just looked at this on my phone, and I posted this on my Facebook site. And if you don't know about my Facebook site, go ahead and just go into the video description and join it. We've got over 1,100 members on there. We just kind of chat and make posts and those kind of things, so you could always join that for free. But I put on there that I thought that just from my phone, I was like, oh gosh, is this an artisan? Because I really, really think that this is an absolute candidate for an artisan. If you put artisan hair on here, you could kind of change this or put it out if you like it that way, or manipulate it a little bit. This would be a sick arse figure, absolutely, as an artisan, to be quite honest with you, with these robes, these Jedi robes, and I really dig this. But I'm going to go ahead. That looks like Ewan McGregor. I'm sorry. I like this so much better than the one they had. That looks great. Yeah, I dig this. I dig this a lot. Obviously, when the videos start coming out, it's really going to show. And I think it's going to show this in very, very high favorability. Yeah, that'll look great in my display. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. That is an absolute fantastic portrait of Ewan McGregor. But again, I don't see the hair exactly like that on the scene. Maybe it looks like this somewhere else in the series, but this is supposed to be the battle scene. This would have just been... They should have made this Artisan. It's a DX. They should have just done it. They should have gave us an Artisan version of this. I would have bought it all day. All day long. But that's my take on it. I don't think it's scene accurate to this particular scene with Vader, but I think it's way more Ewan McGregor accurate. Oh, especially that. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, just look at that. That is fantastic. If they would have done that in Artisan. So is it possible that where I wasn't going to get this figure, I'm going to get it now? And I say, yes. Dang. I love it. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. I absolutely love this figure. And now I don't feel like if I get this figure, at least in my eyes, that it's out of place. Like, oh, where's the DX-28? That's definitely from that scene in the series. I'm not sure. Having people come over, I think they may just say, "Hey, that looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi," and possibly a little bit aged Obi-Wan Kenobi from, Revenge of the Sith, kind of like that whole, stages of getting to the point where he looked like Alec Guinness in that age. So really, this is an absolute win for the Dark Jedi, because I still don't have to get the DX-28, and now I can get this figure and justify it more. And I am focusing on Artisans and some of these DXs and some of these other high premium figures like within art. But I tell you what here, they kind of blew me away with this one. And I'm an Obi-Wan fan, baby. I spilled my darn coffee. Wow. We're going to get into some other stuff now. But cheers to you, baby. So, some very interesting things here in the secondary market for sure. And I was a little bit surprised when I saw this Padme go for just $216. Outstanding seller, 508 feedback, and 100% positive. 35 bids. Just 216. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And just 15 in shipping. Very, very interesting indeed. And brand new. Brand new. Why so low? On a figure that hit the wait list, quite frankly, while it was on pre-order. And even when you go into some other things, like this DX-28, now, I do know that the new kind of battle damage mythos-looking Darth Vader came out, and it certainly hurt this, but I didn't think it hurt it this much. $285 for the 28, not the 27. Not the DX-27, the DX-28. 18 bids, $285. Another outstanding seller, 300 feedback. All 100% positive, not including the 25 in shipping. You could see that sellers, have put this up. Another outstanding seller here. This seller with 478 feedback and all 100% positive. $275 it sold. But, wow, not a whole lot of confidence to put it up at $375. So you have to ask yourself, what is going on in the secondary market that some figures, even when they hit waitlist while they're on pre-order, are not, all of them anyway, moving at such high prices? Is it possible that this is just the victim, of that, Darth Vader figure? That mythos-looking one, this one right here? Is this really the reason? And I say, partly. partly what you're looking at here is the reason. And if I know that they're going to come out with this, and even though this is not part of the Obi-Wan series, this is still a full Hayden Christensen head sculpt versus a half Hayden Christensen head sculpt that you get with this one right here. And don't get me wrong, this is a cool figure and an absolutely amazing next level, and I do mean next level job, by Hot Toys from the Darth Vader battle damaged scenes from the Obi-Wan series on Disney+. But I do think you have to wonder if, these particular, this particular figure here, just for the minds of some collectors, or perhaps many collectors, was just like, hey, wait a minute. Instead of the half head sculpt, I can get the full head sculpt, and I can get all of this battle damage, and I just feel like this is a better value, for my display. And I think some of them said yes to this and no to this one right now, which is why you're seeing some of those crazy prices where this is coming down. And is it all because of this? I think it's a large part of it. But the other part of it that kind of goes along with it is the fact that there is so much new stuff that is coming out at a very, very rapid pace. And at a pace, ladies and gentlemen, quite frankly, that I've never seen before in this hobby. We would be wishing and really trying to push and send a message out to Hot Toys for years. Hey, we want an Ahsoka. Will you give us an Ahsoka? Will you give the collectors what they want? Would you give us a Rex, please? Would you give us a Bespin Luke? Would you please give us a Bespin Luke? Would you give us a Mace? Would you give us a Lando? Right? Just sticking with the Star Wars. Would you please give us a Lando? Would you give us a Mace? Would you give us a Jar Jar Binks? Will you please give us a Grievous? Would you please give us a Padme? And there she is. There she is. And it came out so fast. And there is so much. And I think that that's also what happened in addition to some of this stuff being better like this than what's already out there. The thing is, with Padme, there is nothing to compare it to commercial-wise from for Star Wars 6 scale on this level that you can compare it to. So why would it be happening with this? And that's the other part of the other reason, is it's just so many. And I think that once you sell as much as you feel like you're going to sell, it's not conducive, this hobby right now, or hobbies like this, or things that take expendable income like this, where droves and droves of people are going to be able to dive into it because of the volatility of the global economy right now. And a lot of collectors try to sell. Hey, I picked up some of these Padmes. I know it's limited. I know it went on waitlist, while it was on pre-order. And I'm trying to sell it to make a buck because, I'm one of these resellers. And, I was dealing with a lot of this crap, for a long time of, just not getting, the amount of money I should get on a figure. Case in point like this. This poor seller. I feel bad. You know, trying to sell an endgame battle damaged Mark 85, starting to bid at just $300. Of course you're not going to get a bite. And the wishful thinking that you are going to get a bite, that somehow something's going to happen here, it's just the market. These have already exhausted interest. And it would be different if the economy was in a much, much better place and more collectors are coming in and they're like, hey, let me go ahead and grab that Mark 85. That's a great deal on that. But you can't get a bite on $300. Forget to buy it now at $400. I mean, that's a wing and a prayer. Sure, somebody who doesn't watch my show may not be advised and go ahead and buy this. But you don't. I mean, even Sideshow will sometimes put up some deals right now. 35% off, I think I've seen on this. And if you've got some award points, or I think this is actually free shipping too on Sideshow, it's you get some good deals right now, but this has been in stock for a very, very long time. But there's not a whole lot of new collectors that are running into this right now, and I don't believe it's because they're not interested. Quite the contrary. I think it's because there's just no money. You know, I've always talked about, you know, there's not enough juice out of the orange that you can squeeze. So, you know, if you imagine your wallet or your pocketbook, you know, like an orange, and you're kind of trying to squeeze a little bit out of their areas. Well, you know what? I think you should maybe consider your pocketbooks or your wallets to be more like bananas. Go ahead and go find a banana and go ahead and try and squeeze some juice out of it. You're going to come back and say, hey, Dark Jedi, didn't get a whole lot of juice, baby, out of that banana. Didn't get a whole lot of juice out of there. What's going on? It's a money situation. And they just may have with this sold as many Padmes as they could sell with this particular version at this point with the collectors that are in this hobby. And I think that this was a low one. I see them going for more, and I see this going for over 300. But is this a sign? Is this a sign? And is this also a sign? This Padme and this DX28 and this DX28 here of the reality that certain companies like Sideshow have been dealing with. And people will ask over and over, why are these going on waitlist so fast? Why are these going out? Well, because there's only so much juice you can squeeze out of the banana, McBabies. Pause. Let's crack open a fresh bottle of wizard juice. Ah, cheers. You're watching the Aries Darrington Show. So, you know, these figures that are going on waitlist so fast, you know, is there more of a reason? You know, it's not just to, of course, you create demand when there's low supply. That's you know, and that's a simple equation right there. But I think it's because, hey, there's only going to be so many of these, and I don't think any of these companies right now want to sit on stock. I really, really don't. And I think that's why you're getting so many more announcements. Because if there's less stock and less people buying, how do you continue to get the volume of that cash flow the way that you once were? And the way that you do it is you come up with multiple versions of the same character. So, in other words, if you would sell just, and I'll see if I can pull, you know, something like this up on the screen for you here. If we pull everything up here, Artisan Hot Toys, for instance, let's pull this up onto the screen. And this will be, there'll be one in here I could give you a fantastic example of. Let's go ahead and take the Joker. So, you come out with the Joker here, this DX Joker, which is not officially released yet. Okay. 4,000, this is limited to, with this head sculpt. We don't know how many they sold on the sculpted version. And already, before this one is even officially released, because they finished the head sculpts anyway, you have this Batman imposter version of the same Joker that was announced before that one was. Limited to 3,000 pieces. So how you do it is by coming out with more and more announcements, but less production of those announcements like I've just showed, but different variations of those announcements to justify the R&D work, the cost of it, the time you put into it, and the time on the manufacturing line on some aspects of these pieces to justify the workers' hours that you have to put in, the personnel hours on this. It may not pay to just put 3,000 of these out to go ahead and do the rooted hair implantation technology on these artisan figures. To go ahead and get that, the tedious nature of doing that, maybe we need to make 7,000 of this particular figure. So we're going to go ahead and put out different iterations of this, which is exactly what they did to justify the time, the FTE on this for this particular figure. And they did the same thing with the Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's just be honest. The General Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then you got that Mandalorian Obi-Wan Kenobi. Again, more and more announcements, but less production of those announcements with more 2.0s. You're going to be seeing 3.0s, 4.0s, and what? Just like with this Batman imposter Heath Ledger Joker, more variations of the same thing. And I think there's just also just so much heat and so much new stuff. I mean, I really think InArt deserves a lot of credit, because you're looking at the screen right here, and these are just artisan figures, and look at the level of detail. We all know about the artisan Joker and how good it was. And if you didn't see my review, go check it out. But a lot of collectors feel that that is better than the InArt version, which is no surprise to me, because these two companies are going to be battling each other. But honestly, InArt brought Hot Toys to their feet and pushed them. And they've went to another level. And as they went to another level, this hobby has went to another level, because now there is a new level of 6-scale figure like we've never seen before, a level of detail that we never thought that we can get to, a level of excellence and intricacy that we never thought that could get better from whence it was. And sure as heck, it could get better, and it was getting stale for a while, and now we're starting to see the capabilities that not only companies like InArt, but Hot Toys have. I mean, just look at this. I mean, and I'm looking right at the GX06 right here. Let me tell you, that's one of the best Hot Toys figures ever. But if this comes out like this, this destroys the DX06. And I think you can make an argument that this may destroy any Hot Toy or InArt or any figure ever if this comes out like this. And InArt's going to continue to come out with characters like this, and Hot Toys in the future. The point is, it can get better. It will get better, but at what price to collectors? I mean, honestly, I'm keeping my DX06 because I love it, but I must have this, because this is better than my DX06, and I want the best, and I like Jack Sparrow. Now, There's going to be some characters I won't get because, for instance, I'm not into the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I'm just not. It's just not for me. It's for a lot of people, but not for me. So I don't need to have the best Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I don't need to have any Joaquin Phoenix Joker, so I'm not going to get the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. But if I did have one, and I knew that the in-art one that's coming out is better, or this one's better, or that one's, and we could debate that one all day. It doesn't matter. Someone from the past, it's not going to be as good as these. I would want it if I didn't want the figure, because I'm one of those collectors. If I know that there's a Han Solo, a Harrison Ford Star Wars 6-scale figure out there that's better than the one I have, I want to be looking for it. That's just how I am. And that's how a lot of collectors are. Not every collector, but a good vast majority of collectors want the very best that they could get, especially if they're not collecting figures like Hasbro predominantly. And what do I mean by that? No, I collected Hasbro for years. And I still do in some degree. And plan to in some degree. But I don't collect Hasbro because they look like this. Because they don't. They don't. Okay? They're not on that level. Okay? So that's a totally different story. But I collect these because I want the very best. I collect in-art. And I'll collect in-art over Asmus. Okay? Over Asmus. On these type of figures here, like this Gandalf that went for $900, because it's the better one. Why don't you just spend less money, Aries, and be happy with the Asmus one? Well, because I want the better one. And that is how most collectors roll. Not every collector, so I understand that some are going to go that way. But the reason why Asmus doesn't get as much buzz in this community as in-art with the Lord of the Rings figures is because the in-art ones are just simply right now better. And the reason this DX28 may not be getting as much buzz and as much grail ship like it was doing is because this particular figure right here is just better. Pause. You're watching the Aries Tarrington Show. Cheers to you all, baby. So I think it's a combination of trying to keep up with what is the best. And not just because Collector Harry or Collector Susie or Collector Johnny or Collector Mary, has the figure and you want it. I mean, I hope there's none of that going on. I mean, if you are doing that, please don't feel like you have to. I don't at all. I could care less what Collector Harry or Collector Susie has. It has no bearing on the Dark Jedi. I'll get what the heck I want. I'll want it because it's the best. I'll want it because I saw the picture and I have to have it. I'll have it because it's rare. I'll have it because the numbers are low and I know it's collectible. And I'll jump on that hype, but that's collectible hype. I'm not going to jump on the hype because some other guy or gal got it. I could care less. And I think that's what's going on here. A lot of it. And then once you get a lot of these that are out, like this Padme, I think the juice is just squeezed out of the banana. And I think also, so many of these collectors buy these figures. Now, I'm not talking about the in-art ones and the artisan ones. Or the Hyper DX ones there. Like the ones I just showed you. These rejuvenate. That's why we buy Hyper DX. Not every one of these. This is a DX. A DX to me now is rejuvenated. I'm seeing them match in-art with what they're trying to do with their DX line. And not every character like this one has hair, so it doesn't need to be an artisan. That being said, this is still on that in-art artisan level. But that's because it's rejuvenated. That's because it's rejuvenated. But going back to this Padme here, I just think everybody, so with these figures, those artisan ones, those DX ones, those in-art ones, you're going to be able to sell them and sell them for a very high price. But I think once you get these figures, everybody's trying to sell these, sell the DX-28s, on some of them anyway. There's just no one left to buy it. And I think that's what's happening here. Sure, I'll take it for $216. No, I'll take it too. I'll take it too for $116. Pause. I would definitely take this figure for $216. Be honest with you, for $285 or $275, I'll take one of these too. But, you know, as soon as this came out, I'm not going to lie, I did say to myself, gee, I'm glad I didn't get the DX28 because I'm struggling to come up with money to buy all these figures. But if I had to choose between one or the other, I'm taking this baby. And I think that's a lot of what's going on. There's only so much juice within the banana that you can squeeze. Furthermore, a lot of collectors are starting to get savvy and understanding what's going on. There's the first iteration of this female character. And you're seeing what's going on. You're seeing what's, quite frankly, what's going on with the Scarlet Witch, for instance. See the Scarlet Witch here on your screen? And with the Black Widow. Let's take them both. There are buku amounts of figures of both of these characters that are up that you could still get right now on Sideshow, and multiple versions. And forget about the secondary market, okay, with these figures. However, you cannot really get a Scarlet Witch that looks like Elizabeth Olsen in that artisan form, or even with that, you know, this just step up with their sculpted hair on that, or you can't get a Hot Toy Scarlet Witch that looks like this unless you get this. And you got a lot of that's going on right now. I mean, this is just absolutely sick and sensational of how amazing this looks right here. But when you look at this right here, collectors are starting, I believe, to be able to put together that it is possible that not only one Padme is going to be coming out in artisan form, but perhaps this one and many others. Should you really put in the $300-400 right now in the secondary market for this figure, when inevitably you're going to be getting something like this from Natalie Portman any minute anyway. And I think that's partly what's going on. They're absolutely going to capitalize on that particular figure. Look, here's another thing that I've been telling you. With that C-3PO, when that first came out for the Attack of the Clones, the first thing I said was, wow, or one of the first things I said is they're going to go to town on that mold, baby. And sure enough, you've already got how many different iterations of C-3PO and the 000s, and now you got that mold on the backpack with Chewbacca, and the same thing is going to happen with that Padme. And that's part of what is going on as well. Collectors are starting to realize that some of these figures, do I have to spend that much because the next version is going to be coming out, or a version that's going to be on par with what you're looking at right here. In other words, I'm not interested in any more Black Widows that don't look as good as this right here. It would be unacceptable for me. Unless you're going to go ahead and put it out like on a holo line or something like that, or a budget line, that's fine. But if you have the capability of putting out a figure like this, this is what I'm looking for. What happened in COVID is we got so many releases. Releases up the wazoo. And we got used to just collecting these like they're Black Series figures from the company Hasbro. And I'm here to tell you that I don't believe this hobby, with this amount of money that it costs for each figure or each set, should be collected like the Black Series and Hasbro. Because not all collectors are really going to be able to do that. Gosh, I had enough problems just with Hasbro and the Black Series trying to keep up with as many figures as possible, and it was getting burdensome. It was getting tiresome. The hunt became... It didn't become fun. It wasn't fun anymore to get into the hunt. The hunt became a habit. And the hunt was just trying to collect every single darn thing that came out. And I feel like with this hobby, some collectors here, or there's some notion in this hobby, that you need to just collect every single figure that's coming out. And I think financially, that is unrealistic. Now, no matter what hobby you're into, there are certainly going to be some collectors that are going to be able to do that. That's like anything in life. You could collect, some people can collect vintage cars and collectible cars like Jay Leno. And that's awesome. But there's also going to be some vintage car collectors that are going to be lucky to have anything at all. Just one, if anything. And that's the same thing with this hobby here. This isn't like collecting Hasbro, which quite frankly is hard enough as it is. I mean, those 6-inch Black Series figures are very expensive. And it was getting arduous, and it just wasn't fun for me anymore. But because I've pivoted here in the way that I collect Hot Toys and 6-scale figures, I'm not going to have to get out of this because I am pivoting. I've known all along that I can't collect every one of these figures. I'm not going to try to collect every one of these figures. I'm not going to try to impress you with trying to collect any one of these figures. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try to encourage you, and I mean you, those that can't afford it, not to feel like you have to collect every one of these figures. And there's going to be certain characters that I'm very, very devoted to, like Luke Skywalker, where it's just a personal desire that I want to try to get every iteration of Luke that I can. There's certain characters like that, like Han Solo, that I would like to do that. But I don't want to do that with most of any other character, to be quite frank. There's a lot of collectors that like to do what I like to do there with Iron Man. And that makes a lot of sense, because that's part of one of the things that Hot Toys does here with Iron Man figures. Some collectors do that with Spider-Man figures. But to try and collect all figures, everything that is going to come out, like these are the Black Series, which I said is hard enough, is absolutely ridiculous. And I actually don't think it's healthy unless you've got the money. If you've got the money and you've got the means and you're not putting a burden on yourself financially or your family financially, and you're not in debt at all and you're able to just do it, congratulations, more power to you. But for the most part, most collectors can't do it. And we certainly don't want to make collectors that are jumping into this hobby feel like they have to do that, because it's just not going to be possible. They're not going to survive. They're going to get burnt out. They're going to get out of it really quick and in a hurry. Real fast and in a hurry for sure. So honestly, what's going on in the secondary market is you're seeing figures like this all the old Black Widow figures, a lot of them. Not everyone, not all the ones, but some of them, non-Iron Man 2, some of them are just going $100, $120, $110, $140. You're seeing a lot of figures in stock right now at a lot of comic shops and retail shops. They're going for insanely cheap, inexpensive amounts of money. Like this right here. I mean, this seller couldn't even get a bite on a Mark 85. $300. Poor seller. Poor seller. You can't list this for $300 and expect to get someone to bid on it, my friend. This is a different day and age. This isn't 4 or 5 years ago. Which is why you're not getting anything that's going to get into stock anymore. Because this is a whole new world, baby. You could forget about this. Feel sorry for you. You're dealing with this. $281. There's a lot of stuff going on over here. This is a great, great 2-pack. Why only $281? Because all the juice is out of the banana. It's not an orange anymore. It's a banana. Try to squeeze juice out of the banana, like I said earlier. So now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine your wallet is a banana. Now try to squeeze some money out of it. You're going to get into mush. Your brain's going to become mush. Make believe your pocketbook is full of bananas. Try ahead and go and squeeze some juice out of it. Get that banana juice going, McBabies. That. 281. Plus, we all know that InArt's going to be coming out with like a Nightmare Batman. And they're also coming out with not a dark suit Superman. Maybe they will, but a Henry Cavill Superman. We all know Hot Toys is going to be coming out with a Henry Cavill Superman too, and other Batman figures. And I think we're starting to all put together that eventually this Henry Cavill coming out from InArt and future Ben Affleck Batmans are perhaps going to look like this figure right here. And don't tell me that a majority of collectors don't like that, because why aren't you talking about Asmus as much as you're talking about InArt? Why isn't there a show about older Black Widows and a show about this instead of a show about this? This is where the hobby's going. In my opinion, there's not a Scarlet Witch better than this one. This one right here with the artisan hair and also the sculpted version. This is the best version of Scarlet Witch yet. So you're seeing some collectors, not all of them, trying to get out of the other Scarlet Witches. Shoot, some of the other ones that are in stock, they're still in stock. How long are they going to be in stock? And then what happens with figures like this DX28 is every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Mary Jane and Sue try to scouf these up and keep thinking that they're going to sell them for $600, $700, $800, $900 to every poor sap out on eBay or on some Facebook group, and then Hot Toys is going to come out and do something like this. And then you're stuck with it. And then you are going to have to go ahead and sell it for $275 and just list it because that's unlisted, because that's all you're going to get out of it. That's all you're going to get out of it. And then eventually people are going to be putting up those DX28 starting at bids of $400 like this poor sap here with the Mark 85. And they're not going to get a bite out of it. Because people don't want to bite into this. They don't even want to try to squeeze the juice out of the banana for that. They want to squeeze it for this. That's a lot of what's going on in the secondary market. Sure, you're going to have your grails, and your grails, especially your very limited pieces not readily available. Pieces like that DX09 Batman, which turns out to be better than the new one, so that one's a hot grail. It is. It's hot. Like this Wonder Woman's hot. And it doesn't matter when Hot Toys comes out with a new one or eventually NR comes out with one of these. The difference between this one and some of these other ones is this DX28 was not limited to 1,500 pieces. Whereas this Wonder Woman was. And it will always be limited to 1,500 pieces. And exclusive. Just like this Black Widow will always be limited to the 2,000 pieces worldwide. This particular Artisan edition. That is the collector edition, whereas the special edition will always be limited to 4,000 pieces worldwide. And all collectively, always and forever, 6,000 pieces. Even if they do come out with one that's better, this one is not going to go the way of this particular figure or this well, I didn't mean to put that up, but that's the example I want to go to next is the Arena Fett. Or that Nightmare Batman one, because it's limited in quantity. And let's go to that Arena McFett, which I already told you is going to be going back up. And you're saying, my goodness, in this economy, with all this heat, all this Mick heat coming out Aries, how could this go for $335, not including the $732, and be going for this price again? You're $375, close to $400. How is this possible? Because it's limited. And it was funny, they never even really published it, but it was said that they only made, what, 3,000 of these, I think it was? And I don't even know if there's a published number on this one. But that was kind of like supposedly what was said on this. Imagine what happens with a figure like this. I don't care if they come out with one eventually where she actually speaks to you. This will always be worth something because it's limited to 4,000 forever. And it's a limited edition exclusive, so it's always going to be special in that regard. And we got to the point where we were treating some of these figures like they were Black Series figures. And we should be collecting them like M&M's, like they're Black Series figures, which may be okay for Collector Simon, or Collector Johnson, or Collector Mary Sue, or whoever, or Collector Jay Leno, which is fine. But I don't got that kind of money. That's why I got out of Black Series. And the majority of collectors don't have that kind of money. And to think that you could go ahead for the majority of collectors that collect every figure is absolute insanity. It's insanity. Because it just can't be done if you've got kids and you got a spouse or a girlfriend or a boyfriend and a mortgage and utility payments and this and that and that and this. So majority of collectors are starting to realize that they have to budget for the very best that you got here. Is that what the Dark Jedi is doing? You bet your arse. I don't give a crap about the older Scarlet Witch figures, or the older Black Widow figures. If I did, I'd be collecting Asmus Lord of the Rings, and sure as heck wouldn't have bothered with the 2 in-art ones. What do I need the in-art figures for? They're way too expensive. I'll go ahead and go get Asmus figures. Or better yet, if their Hasbro puts some out, I'll get some of those. But no, I'm in this because I want the best, baby. And like I said, not every collector is like this. I have great collector friends that want the lower end, or they want the budget, and they could care less about this new crap, which is great. The problem with it is that's not the majority of collectors. If it was, there'd be a lot of heat on Cotobianca and on Asmus. If that was the case, we'd be all hyped up about Tony Stank. That'd be the best figure in history. We'd want it, and the collector will be, not will Hot Toys, not can you correct the Tony Stank head sculpt, but rather, can you go ahead and make it just $15 cheaper and keep making those stanks, baby? But we don't have conversations like that, because that's not the reality this hobby is in. This is the reality this hobby's in, McBabies. This is the reality this hobby is in. This is why this sells out in 32 minutes. This is why 6,000 of these sell out in under 90 minutes. 6,000. You could put 6,000 of those white suit Black Widows up at $135, and I guarantee you they're not going to sell in 90 minutes. They'll sell to some. I'm not going to argue it. They'll sell to some. But that sum is not the majority of what's going on for the collector world. And that sum is not the majority of what makes Hot Toys and InArt money. For InArt to make money, InArt better put figures out at the quality that looks like this, baby. And if Hot Toys wants to compete with InArt, they need to put out figures that look like this, baby. And as everybody, or a large majority is trying to gear up for collecting figures like that, you're going to get a lot of this. And you're going to get a lot of this. And then when some of these figures sell out, because they're limited and they're numbered, you're going to get a lot of this. And a lot of this. And a lot of this. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, is it possible that you're going to get a lot of this? Because we've gotten all 3 of these figures already. And could you see Hot Toys coming out with all 3 of these figures in artisan form? And I say, yes. Gosh. And they would make them at a fraction of the volume in which these were produced. They would just be ready to give you all different kinds of sequel variations, or what-if variations, or expanded universe, Dark Empire, Rita suit, Boba Fett, I could keep going on, versions of these figures. Maybe even a Batman imposter version of Luke. Wouldn't that be great? Batman imposter version of Rey, I'd buy it all day. Put Rey in a Batman suit, I'd buy it all day. All day. Kylo Ren almost looks like he's in a Batman suit. He's just missing the bat signal, baby. But yeah, they would do this all day. They've already. I mean, gosh. I mean, Disney would be all over it. They're bringing Daisy Ridley back anyway. What better way for Hot Toys to show devotion to the Star Wars license by honoring their choice to bring back Daisy Ridley in Episode 10 and also for another animated series? My goodness. And this has got to be one of the easiest Artisans to make. I mean, her hair is just pretty much there. Come on. This is easy. This about the Last Jedi one is easy as heck. She has it kind of wild on the ends there. That would be just so easy for the Last Jedi for them to do that with her. A little more intricate and precise if you're going to put out the Rise of Skywalker one or the Force Awakens one, but all of them with Rey are doable. And now they know, you know, people are just buying these female characters that have the long hair like nothing. Do the same exact thing here. Put out 6,000 Reys, 4,000 of one version, 2,000 of another. Bada boom, bada bing. It's easy money. Shoot, you could go ahead and plan 6,000 Reys and then make a darn Dark Side version. You can make a Dark Side version that doesn't even match Rise of Skywalker. Just make it some type of what if or some type of expanded universe. Ask Disney to put out some comic out of left field. There's probably one already out there I don't know about that has a Dark Side Rey. There you go, Dark Side Rey. Someone could just imagine it. Maybe Mary Jane or Sue. I imagined Rey in a Darth Maul outfit. There you go. Sell it. 2,000. Limited. It's got rooted hair implantation technology. Sold! Sold. Kylo Ren, forget about it. So easy. That figure's Artisan's meant for Kylo Ren. Unfortunately for the hobo Luke, and I do say unfortunately because I like the crate Luke. I don't necessarily like the Luke that threw the lightsaber over his shoulder at Act 2. However, if they did an Artisan in this Luke, I would buy it. Buy any Artisan Luke. It would be hot. It would be nice. Maybe they could do a what if Luke that was kind of more of a bad arse in the beginning of the movie. They could just do a what if version. I'd buy it all day. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. Give me this Luke. Aries, I don't want this Luke. Well, a lot of people don't want it, but I hate to say that Hot Toys don't care. They don't care. A lot of people don't want this Black Widow either. Which is why they only made 2,000 of them. And why they only made 4,000 of this one. And a lot of people didn't want another Scarlet Witch either. Which is why you're only getting what? How much is this one? 2,500? Of the Artisan one? Again, they don't have to. With more and more announcements, but less production of these announcements, they're just going to give you different. How many versions of actually, when this comes out, they could give you two other variations of this figure. Maybe they could give you the Iron Man imposter version. Instead of Iron Strange, you can have Iron Witch. That'd be pretty cool. How many of you would want an Iron? I'd rather have an Iron Witch than an Iron Strange, to be honest with you. I find that Iron Strange to be very strange. But I find an Iron Witch to be pretty cool. I think I'd take an Iron Witch. I mean, why not? I mean, would you take an Iron Witch? Let me know in the comments. I mean, I took a Batman imposter Joker. So why not? I mean, Hot Toys is showing you that, baby. I mean, why not? I mean, that figure is pretty sick. I mean, I got this. Just check out my review if you didn't see it yet. Yeah. Why not? Iron Witch. Iron Widow. Let's get an Iron Widow. There's so many things that they could do. Come on. For sure. But the biggest thing that they're going to do here, the number one thing that they're going to do, and the for sure bet that you could go ahead and go place, you can go place this bet right now, is on this Anakin. This is so much easier than the imposter Joker to make. You don't even have to repaint the whole Affleck, not Affleck, Christian Bale suit. You don't have to go get a whole Mandalorian suit like you did with the General Kenobi to make the Mandalorian Kenobi. You could take the same exact damn suit. Everything you got right here, all you got to do is just take the little eyeballs and the purrs. Okay, take those little purr mechanisms you put in there and change the eyeballs. Keep the head sculpt the same. Keep the hair the same. Keep the outfit the same. You can keep the saber the same. You can keep even the freaking stand the same. And probably just change the writing to Darth Vader or Dark Side Anakin. Whatever they keep everything the same. It's such a no-brainer. This is coming from Hot Toys, the Dark Side Anakin. I think the real question is not if it's coming. Is it going to be limited to 1,000 pieces, 1,500, 2, 3, 4, 5? What say you? Remember, if you like what you're watching here, go ahead and join my channel. Like I said before earlier in the show, I'm finishing this up. This review is going to be sick. Exclusive. Exclusive to the members here. To see Gandalf the Grey. Can't wait for InArt to come out with Gandalf the White. I know it'll be as good as that White Pilgrim. I think it was that same artist, right? Viper? Gosh. Can't wait for a lot of this stuff here. But as we can't wait for a lot of this stuff, I mean, got to find money for it. Sometimes that's being very, very selective. And I'm not going to be settling for anything that's second rate. And I did have to sell off some stuff to be able to get some of this, to be quite honest with you. All right, I think that's it for the Aries Terrigen Show this week. Remember, I don't always drink all the spotchka. But when I do, baby, I do it right here at the 6 scale cantina. Stay thirsty, my friends.